From a man who, after failing to get into an Austrian art school, started making videos on politics, this is the Daniel Natal Show. In a previous presentation, we discussed the First National Bank of the United States, founded in 1791. It was the first attempt at a central bank in America, and it had a 20-year charter. After that 20 years was up, it was rejected by the American people. Individuals like Thomas Jefferson were wisely skeptical of such institutions, writing in 1816, "And I sincerely believe with you that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling futurity on a large scale." This was part of the battle between Jefferson, who wanted American sovereignty, and Alexander Hamilton, who was an agent of the Bank of England and lobbied for a central bank controlled from London in charge of America's economy. After the first charter ran out in 1811 and America got rid of this bank, England struck back against the United States in the War of 1812. By 1816, a second National Bank of America was installed. This one too had a 20-year charter. Fortunately for us, Andrew Jackson got rid of it, freeing us until 1913, when a new central bank called the Federal Reserve was installed. Now in this third iteration, there was no 20-year charter. It would be open-ended and never sunset out. And this is the theme of this presentation: institutions that are installed for a temporary purpose and that never go away. A while ago, I did a presentation called Permanent Solutions for Temporary Problems. In it, I discussed the subject of a young girl going into the military and asking if she should marry her boyfriend because housing would be cheaper on the military base. I said be careful of having a permanent solution for a temporary problem. The theme I developed was based on that kind of thinking, how we as a society do exactly that. We come up with permanent solutions for temporary problems. Like how the OSS, which later became the CIA, was created to fight the Nazis in World War II. We created it for a very specific and limited reason. After the war, we assumed that the CIA would go away, but it didn't. By 1947, the OSS morphed into the CIA and was created by executive order by Truman. Only a month after President Kennedy was assassinated, Truman wrote, "I never would have agreed to the formulation of the Central Intelligence Agency back in '47 if I had known it would become the American Gestapo." The same thing happened with NATO. An organization whose ostensible purpose was to fight the Soviet Union never sunsetted out after the USSR went away. It became a permanent solution for a temporary problem. This is why English philosopher Herbert Spencer said that war is the most transformative thing on a society's institutions. It distorts them. Look at the Bank for International Settlements. It was created to administer German war reparations for World War I. To help bankrupt Germany pay the exorbitant amount, Hjalmar Schacht suggested that the Western banking grid play central banks in developing countries to take over their financial systems, and to coax them into buying German goods and industrial equipment. With those sales, Germany could pay the reparations. Okay, well, mission accomplished. Germany finished paying off its World War I reparations debt. So did the Bank for International Settlements go away? No, it became the central bank to the world's central banks, and all that money kept flowing. As Reagan said, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program. This phenomenon reminded me of GMO manipulations of fruits and vegetables relative to what are called phytoalexins. Phytoalexins are molecular weight antimicrobial compounds that are produced by plants as a response to biotic and abiotic stresses. As such, they take part in an intricate defense system which enables plants to control invading microorganisms. Basically, when a caterpillar bites into a leaf, the plant will defend itself by releasing a toxin called a phytoalexin. Once the caterpillar gets a taste of it and departs, the plant shuts off the poison. The geniuses in our GMO industry decided to market plants that don't need pesticides to farmers. Their gimmick? Rigging fruits and vegetables to produce the toxin permanently. It'll never shut off. This is wonderful for the farmer who can save money on pesticides, but horrible for the consumer who's now presented with an apple that has the carcinogenic load of a cigarette. He's biting into what looks like an apple, but has the health benefits of a cigar. The apple is pumping out phytoalexins that won't ever turn off, which leads to inflammation and sickness in anyone who consumes the frankenfood. Our political systems are much like this. In a war, we have defense mechanisms which are designed to be turned off after the war. And every so often, a genius will come along and suggest, hey, propaganda was a weapon of war during World War I. Why not keep it going after the war and turn it against the domestic population? Keep the institutions of war going permanently. It's like a toxin that never shuts off. This is the logic of cancer. We have a cancer on our republic. We have tumors. Like how the Department of Homeland Security was created as a permanent solution to a temporary problem after 9/11. What better metaphor than this taking place in New York City, or the Big Apple as it's called? Well, the Big Apple has now been rigged with phytoalexins. It's a GMO apple now. We as a people have to decide whether this new system, like our new food, is healthy or not. By the way, if you get a chance, check out Rebecca Terrell's video reports. She's a senior editor for the New American Magazine, and I think she's dreamy. Well, I mean, hard-hitting and sharp. And dreamy.